I've seen it. They can do
fair.
it. Like, I just wouldn't bet on it, but I'm going Iowa over USC here. Florida avoids 3 straight losing seasons for the first time in forever, or FSU makes the college football playoff. What do you think is more likely, Matt Green?
I would definitely say Florida avoids a 3rd straight losing season. I would say that's
agree.
more likely. Just because Florida State making the playoff, like that's a jump. Like
People are talking about it though, like it's almost a guarantee. Where if all you have to do is beat Clemson and you're in the CFP, that's how it seems like people are talking about this Seminoles team.
that is how people are talking about them, but it's like, since when is Florida State at a point where you can just pencil in the wins versus the inferior teams, and then just it's just going to come to that toss-up game? Like, anyone's been able to beat this team the last few years. Like, do they have Syracuse on the schedule? Like, Syracuse is giving Florida State some embarrassing losses, but I definitely think Florida State's going to be a good team this year. Like, Florida is another team that Florida State will have to play to get to the playoff, but Florida's schedule makes me, kind of hesitant here, because neither of these things, it's possible neither of these things happen, right? Mm-hmm. So Florida's schedule is very possible that they do miss a bowl game, and they could be, maybe even improved from what they were a year ago and still miss a bowl game, because it is a pretty tough schedule. But Florida State being good enough to actually make the playoff and like go through their season really if they get through their season with 1 loss, essentially is they're going to be in the playoff most likely, and it's hard to pencil them in to do that.
Yeah, and I just am I'm not going to do it, Matt Green. Do you know where I could see it? At Pitt just feels like a Florida State loss. No, Pitt loves doing this to everybody. Like, that's a Pitt favorite. I could absolutely see Pitt ruining FSU's college football playoff season. Is just that game at home. Also, are we penciling them in beating LSU back-to-back?
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about LSU.
Are we penciling them in to win at Florida and beat Florida in back-to-back years? Florida will have more talent than Florida State in this game. Florida State's not in the blue chip ratio. They're still kind of ahead of schedule. Part of why Florida's getting a bunch of benefit of the doubt here is Jordan Travis is awesome, right? Benson's awesome running back. They cleaned up in the portal. Jared Verse is one of the best edge guys all around in just college football. Like, they have a lot of top-end talent. Not the deepest. I'm also not picking them over Clemson. Clemson people have gone too far the other way, where it's like it's FSU's time, and I'm like, Garrett Riley was a really good sneaky hire. They adjusted pretty well this offseason. They still are loaded on the defensive side of the ball. Cade Klubnik is still probably going to be pretty awesome with this group. Will Shipley showed a lot last year. He's probably going to be a Heisman candidate for them this upcoming year. Like, Clemson, I think, is going to be pretty solid and the CFP favorite and one of the 5 to 7 best teams in college football next year. I don't see it yet. I think Florida State's not ready. And I think Florida, look, the 5.5 is scary, but I think there's a much more obvious path to Florida getting 6 wins than Florida State making the CFP. I think I would be pretty floored if if Florida State made the CFP, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Florida still found a way to get 6-6, 7-5, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Florida State, like, I don't want to just, poo-poo on their breakthrough 2022 season. Like, they had a good year, but like they beat a lot of bad teams down the stretch to kind of create this off-season buzz. So it's like, it's just, I feel like people just are obsessed with certain brands, and when certain brands show a sign of life, we really believe in it. And that's kind of, Tennessee is kind of one of those. It's like people are just waiting for, like, oh, Tennessee, they're big time. Like, oh yeah, once they're back, they're legit. Like, whenever Miami is good at all, everyone's like, oh, Miami's back, Texas is back. Like, we do this all the time. And Florida State feels like one of those teams that, like, oh, Florida State, yeah, it's only a matter of time so they're back to being a powerhouse, because that's how it always was the whole time we've been alive, basically. But like, what makes them that much better than like an NC State from a couple years ago? Like, NC State had some buzz, coming into 2021, or was it 2022? and they were fine. I think one of the years Devin Leary got hurt. Things went wrong, but it's like that's kind of where Florida State is. That like one key injury, and yeah, they might be a 3 or 4 loss team. Like it's interesting how quickly they've become, like you're saying, like Clemson. If they beat Clemson, they're going to the playoff. And I even forgot LSU was on the schedule. It's like that's 2 losses. You basically have to. And also, like, there's no mulligan. Like, Clemson, because we know the ACC division so well, if you lose to Clemson, you're not gonna win the Atlantic, so you're not gonna get to the ACC championship. So you have to be.
Wait, I thought they got rid of them this year. I don't think they have divisions this year in the ACC.
Are you sure?
ACC division's gone. I think they are, because I think the SEC is there, but I think they're gone this year. Let me double check. ACC division.
That would change things a little bit, because then if you lose to Clemson, you can at least beat them back like that. I feel like that at least.
Yes, it's gone. The divisions are gone this season.
In 2023? Okay, yeah. So I mean that does increase their chances a little bit. But then